Baby, you understand me now. If sometimes you see that I'm mad, don't you know no one alive can always be an angel? When everything goes wrong, you see some bad. But I'm just a soul whose intentions are good. Oh Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood.
Hello, my name is R.L. Norman, and I am the host of the Golden Spectrum podcast free on YouTube. The podcast will have conversations with gay, single men over 50 about life, love, and relationships. So far, I have spoken to and have conversations with 12, as I call them, distinguished gentlemen. They have spoken about their lives. Some of them have been single for a while. Some of them have been looking for love. Some of them are not looking for love at all. But they discuss their lives and they share and encourage us. So I'm going to introduce you to distinguished gentleman number 13. His name is Z, but Z is a little different. He is anonymous. So what I do is I sent him a list of questions for him to answer, which he will in a moment. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to, from Tacoma, Washington, Z.
Hi, my name is Z, and I'm Distinguished Gentleman number 13. Norman asked me to answer some questions for this conversation. Question number 1. Tell the fans a little bit about yourself. As I said, my name is Z. I am 57 years old, and I live in Tacoma, Washington. I am the head chef at a high-end hotel here. I am single. I like, my hobbies are going to zoos, museums, and walking around the city checking out the sights. Because I work such long hours, I also like to be home sipping wine and listening to music, especially jazz. I'm not necessarily a homebody, but I am when I want to go home after a long, hard day's work and rest. I am really a down-to-earth guy, even though I do like to go out sometimes when I have the time. But basically, I'm just me. Question number 2. How long have you been single, and are you on good terms with your ex? I've been single about 3 years, and we are on good terms, cordial terms. Norman said, why did it end? It ended basically because of me. It wasn't his fault. Because I work maybe 12 hours a day sometimes, and because I'm on the DL, I didn't have much time to spend with him. And at one point, he didn't like that. And he kind of considered our relationship mostly behind closed doors. Which after we broke up and I thought about it, I guess that's basically what it was. I am on the DL, as I said, because a lot of people don't know my personal business. And I'm thinking, after I saw the questions that Norman's asking me to answer, I may change that after this. But as I was saying, my ex, he just thought I wasn't spending enough time with him, especially not in public. And also because, like I said, most of the time I was working. Like I said, I am the head chef at a hotel, so 12-hour days is not unusual. But of course, that's not good when you're trying to be in a relationship. Number 3, he said, do you want to be in another relationship? I would love to be in another relationship, but I realized after the last one and the one before that, I would have to change my work habits or my work hours to do that. Because it's not fair to anybody that I'm trying to date if I can't spend time with them to get to know them and they get to know me. But yeah, I would love to be in a relationship. But like I said, I'm 57. I've only been in 3 serious relationships. And most of them have ended because I work all the time. So that's why I say I got to reevaluate my life if I want to be in a relationship. So we'll see how that's going to work. Next question is, what was your worst date and what was your best date? Well, my worst date was, I happened to be talking to this guy that I met online on one of the apps. And we was talking maybe about 6 months or so, really getting to know each other, good conversation, and we had never met in person. And his birthday was coming up, so we decided I would come to Seattle and spend the weekend for his birthday. So I made sure I got off that weekend, that Saturday and Sunday, because I know weekends are the busiest times, but I made a point to get off. I went to Seattle that Saturday morning, got a hotel room, and I actually went out and bought a couple of birthday presents for him. And then he showed up for lunch. We had a nice lunch. I decided not to give him the presents until what I assumed was going to be dinner that evening. And, walk around the streets of Seattle or whatever he was going to do. Well, lunch lasted about 15 minutes because his phone kept ringing because his friends just called him to wish him a happy birthday or whatever, which I understood. But then he abruptly told me he had to leave and then he would come back to the hotel. At that time, it was about maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock. So I went to the hotel to wait for him. And I didn't hear from him for hours. I didn't hear from him till like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And when he finally called me back, he told me that he was going to have dinner with some friends for his birthday. And I was like, okay. He told me that he was going to come back later that night and that we can go to like a late dinner or out to a club or something. Okay. I waited and waited. He didn't come back to the hotel room until about 2 a.m. And I didn't even know what to say to him. I was really upset. And he ended up being a little drunk or whatever. He did spend the night. And not saying that I came up there to have sex with him, but I expected to spend some time with him. The next morning, he informed me that he had to go to work. And also, before he went to work, he was going to go to brunch with some friends of his. And I just was like, I can't believe that I came all this way, got a hotel room, bought this guy gifts, and he's not even spending any time with me. So after he left and told me he's coming back, I practically immediately checked out of the hotel and I went back home. That was the worst date. And after that, he tried to call me numerous times, but I refused to talk to him because I just thought that was just, that showed me a lot about him. My best date was somebody I knew, and I met this person online also. And I was talking to him maybe like a year, so we never met in person because, like I said earlier, I work a lot. But we decided to finally meet, and he told me that he would take care of everything. And I am a very independent person. I can hold my own. I'm not saying I'm a rich guy or a poor guy, but I don't need anybody to buy me stuff. But he told me, don't worry about it, I got it. The hotel or whatever. He didn't tell me where we was going. And of course, if you're ever in that situation, make sure you got your own money in case anything happens. So that's what I did. I made sure I had my own. He told me to meet him somewhere. I did. I met him. We actually had like a little brunch before we got in the car on our destination. We still didn't tell me where it was. Nice conversation, nice little brunch. We get in the car. We drive about an hour or so. This guy took me to a ski lodge, and I've never been skiing. And I remember during one of our conversations, he asked me about that. I told him I'd never been skiing. So he took me to a ski lodge for the weekend, and it was fantastic. Fantastic. We had such a good time. I learned how to ski just a little bit. Of course, I was on the beginner's thing. And thing was, he was a beginner too, so it was really kind of cute. But he took me skiing for the weekend, and that was just amazing. And then, we really connected. And after that, we talked a lot, like we did before the ski weekend. But I ended up kind of messing that up too because I worked too much, and we slowly drifted apart. So my job, I need to reevaluate my job. Not saying I need to quit my job because I love my job and I love cooking. But I really like this guy, and we just slowly drifted apart because we could never. I didn't have time to see him. So that's my worst date and my best date. The next question is, what is your idea of the most romantic date? Well, besides the ski trip, which was definitely romantic and great, I think the most romantic date for me, as I said earlier, I love museums and, going to the zoo and walking around the city. I would think the most romantic was, let's say we go to a couple of museums and see some artwork or some statues and talk about and get to know each other. Or even the zoo and get to know each other. And have lunch. Have lunch or have dinner. I think that's romantic because communication is a very important thing for me. And to walk around or go to some place that's not a bar or a club is very, very romantic. Go to some out-of-the-way spot. Since I'm a chef, I would love to go to some out-of-the-way place just to, try new foods or whatever. But at the same time, have communication. So my most romantic date would be something that we can do where we can talk and laugh and get to know each other. Next question is, how do you meet men? Well, I meet men. I'm on several dating apps, but unfortunately, I don't have time to check the messages a lot because I'm not working and I'm home relaxing. Also, believe it or not, I do meet a lot of men at my job. Being on the DL, you'll be surprised how Guys come in there with their wives or girlfriends and they give you that certain look or sign to let you know that they are on a DL. The stories I could tell you about that. But that's how I meet guys. And at the moment, I am not in a relationship, as I said, but I get my share of physical activity when I want it. So that's how I meet men. And the last question is, do you have any closing remarks? Well, I'd like to say a couple of things. First of all, I'd like to thank Norman for asking me to do this, because it has really made me thinking about my life and hopefully encourage other people. And I'd like to thank the distinguished gentlemen, because I have seen all 12 of their conversations and their views about life, love, and relationships, as Norman says. I'd like to say we all need to communicate with each other, share with each other, and respect each other's views. And I have learned a lot about myself and a lot about the distinguished gentleman. And also, I am anonymous, but I am a member of the Facebook Golden Spectrum group. So I do see the responses and what people post. And as we know, sometimes it's hard being gay. And sometimes it's even harder being gay and on the DL. So after doing this, I realized I do need to reevaluate my life, which actually is a good thing. So, in closing, I want to say thank you, because I am now a distinguished gentleman, number 13.
Well, there you have it. Distinguished gentleman number 13. A down low brother, a mature brother, a brother that knows what he wants in life. Again, I've started this podcast so we can encourage and share with each other and realize we may have the same thoughts and views and ideas about our lives as being gay, single, 50. So if anybody wants to be distinguished gentleman number 14, please contact me at rl.norman1524@aol.com, or contact me on the Golden Spectrum Facebook page, and realize that you can also be anonymous just like Z. So, in closing, I like to say, as Z said, communication is very important in our lives. And as his favorite song started at the beginning of this podcast, it's going to end with the same song. Please don't let me or any of us be misunderstood.